You're not imagining it. There's a quiet question many people begin to carry after 50, even if they don't say it out loud. If you're not walking laps, lifting weights, or following a workout plan, does movement even count anymore? It's an understandable thought. For decades, exercise has been framed as something structured, scheduled, and often intense. You show up, you sweat, you finish, and only then does it feel legitimate. Anything outside of that can feel like it doesn't quite qualify. But the body changes with age, and so does what it responds to. After 50, the body often responds less to how hard it's pushed and more to how consistently and thoughtfully it's moved. This is where a different kind of movement begins to matter, even if it doesn't look like exercise at all. You may notice this during quiet moments in the day. Standing up from a chair feels stiffer than it used to. Joints take a little longer to warm up in the morning. Balance feels fine most days, but less automatic than before. None of this means something is wrong. It means the body is asking for a different kind of attention. Movement doesn't stop counting just because it isn't labeled as exercise. In fact, much of the movement that supports circulation, joint health, balance, and coordination after 50 happens outside of traditional workouts. It happens in the spaces between tasks, during everyday routines, and in moments that feel almost too small to matter. Have you ever noticed that you feel better on days when you're gently active, even if you didn't work out? That's not a coincidence. The body is designed to move throughout the day, not only in short bursts of intensity. When movement is spread out, it keeps blood flowing, joints lubricated, and muscles engaged without overwhelming the system. You may recognize this on days when you're up and down more often. Walking to another room, reaching for items, turning, bending, or even shifting your weight while standing. These movements may seem insignificant, but they add up in ways the body understands deeply. There's a reason prolonged stillness feels worse than gentle activity. When the body stays still for too long, circulation slows, muscles stiffen, balance systems quiet down. The mind can even feel foggier. Movement wakes everything up. One quiet truth is that the body doesn't measure movement the way fitness culture does. It doesn't care if something looks impressive. It responds to rhythm, repetition, and ease. This is why gentle, intentional movement can sometimes do more for long-term health than pushing through a routine that feels draining. You might see this play out in everyday life. A person who rarely exercises but stays active throughout the day often feels steadier and more capable than someone who does a few intense workouts but spends the rest of the day sitting still. Neither approach is right or wrong. But after 50, the second pattern often feels harder to recover from. There's a familiar scene many people experience. You plan to start exercising again, maybe tomorrow or next week. You imagine walking longer, lifting more, or following a routine you once enjoyed. But the idea feels heavy, and the follow-through never quite happens. Then, on a day when you're simply moving naturally, doing chores, gardening, tidying up, or walking casually, you realize your body feels more cooperative, less stiff, less resistant. That's your body responding to movement that fits its current needs. This doesn't mean structured exercise has no place. It means it's no longer the only form of movement that matters. The body is asking for frequency over force, consistency over intensity. Movement that isn't exercise still signals the body to stay awake, adaptable, and resilient. Think about how often you change positions throughout the day. Standing up, sitting down, turning your head, shifting your stance. Each of these movements supports balance systems that rely on regular input to stay sharp. Without movement, those systems get quiet. With gentle movement, they stay tuned. You may have noticed this when balance feels better on days you're more active, even casually. The body is practicing without you realizing it. There's also a calming effect to natural movement. When you move gently and intentionally, the nervous system often settles. Breathing becomes easier. Muscles soften. The mind follows. This is why movement doesn't always need to feel like effort to be effective. One small moment illustrates this well. Imagine a quiet afternoon when you stand at the counter preparing something simple. You shift your weight from one foot to the other. You reach, turn, step back, and move again. Nothing about it feels like exercise. Yet your body is coordinating balance, strength, and awareness all at once. That kind of movement trains the body in ways that machines and routines sometimes miss. After 50, joints benefit from motion more than pressure. Gentle movement helps nourish cartilage and maintain range of motion. When joints move regularly, they tend to feel less stiff and more reliable. You might notice this most in the morning. Even a few minutes of easy movement can change how the rest of the day feels. Have you noticed how different your body feels after you've been sitting for a long time versus after you've been moving lightly? That contrast matters. It shows how responsive the body still is, even now. Movement also supports circulation in ways that become more important with age. Blood flow improves when muscles contract and relax throughout the day. This supports not only muscles and joints, but also brain clarity and energy levels. This is why many senior health tips emphasize staying gently active rather than focusing solely on workouts. The goal isn't to push the body harder, it's to keep it engaged. There's another layer to this conversation that often goes unnoticed: confidence. When movement feels accessible, confidence grows. When it feels intimidating, avoidance creeps in. Movement that doesn't look like exercise often feels safer, more doable. And that matters. If you've ever avoided starting something because it felt too demanding, you're not alone. But movement doesn't need a start line or a finish line. It can simply be woven into the day. One shared experience many people recognize is pacing during phone calls. You stand up, walk slowly, turn around, and keep moving while you talk. When the call ends, you realize you've been moving for several minutes without thinking about it. That movement counts. Your joints moved, your muscles engaged, your balance adjusted, your circulation improved, and you didn't have to convince yourself to do anything extra. This is where a shift in mindset becomes powerful. When movement is seen as something you're already doing, rather than something you're failing to do, motivation changes. You stop measuring yourself against an external standard and start listening to your body instead. This doesn't mean ignoring strength or endurance entirely. It means building a foundation first. A body that moves often is more prepared for structured activity when it's added. Movement that isn't exercise creates a base layer of resilience. You may notice this when everyday tasks feel easier. Carrying groceries, standing longer, or reaching overhead doesn't feel as taxing. These improvements often come from consistent, gentle movement rather than formal workouts. There's also an emotional aspect to this kind of movement. When movement feels natural, it supports a sense of independence. You're not forcing your body into something, you're partnering with it, and that partnership matters as the body changes. Have you ever felt discouraged because your movement didn't look the way it used to? That feeling is common, but it doesn't mean progress isn't happening. It means the form of progress has changed. After 50, the body rewards patience, presence, and consistency more than intensity. Movement that fits naturally into life is often easier to sustain. And sustainability is what creates long-term benefits, which is especially true for balance. Balance isn't trained only through exercises. It's trained every time you shift your weight, turn quickly, or adjust your stance without thinking. Those moments happen constantly throughout the day. If they disappear, balance declines. If they continue, balance adapts. The same is true for coordination and reaction time. Gentle, varied movement keeps these systems active without strain. You don't need to label movement for it to matter. You don't need to track it, time it, or optimize it. You just need to keep moving. As this idea settles in, it can be helpful to let go of the all-or-nothing thinking that surrounds exercise. Movement isn't something you either do perfectly or not at all. It's something you return to again and again, in everyday small ways. That return is what the body responds to. You may already be doing more than you think. As you move through your day, notice how often your body shifts, reaches, turns, and adjusts. Those moments are quietly supporting your joints, circulation, and balance. They are part of aging well, even if they don't come with a routine or a name. And perhaps the most reassuring part of all is this: you don't need to wait until you feel strong to move. Movement itself is often what restores strength. Each small motion reinforces trust between you and your body. It reminds you that ability hasn't disappeared. It has simply changed shape. movement that isn't exercise still counts. And sometimes, it counts the most. Every day is another chance to care for the body that's carried you this far. Keep learning, keep moving, keep believing in your own strength. Because aging isn't slowing down, it's leveling up. If today's message resonated, take a moment to subscribe, leave a thought in the comments, or share this video with someone who could use a little encouragement. Because together we're proving that aging well isn't the exception, it's the standard.